Welcome to Your Legacy Stories podcast. Your host, Natalie McQueen, helps people from all walks of life to create, live, and preserve their legacy for future generations to enjoy. Natalie became a legacy designer after a near-death experience that made her completely reevaluate the legacy she was leaving in this world. She is also a book publisher who has guided over 500 authors to become international bestsellers. On this show, her guests share moments of purpose, gratitude, wisdom, and tradition, and of course, their legacy stories.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Natalie McQueen with Your Legacy Stories podcast. Today, we have a very special guest, Mr. Branden Blinn, and he's got his book, Entitlement. And we're going to talk about a whole variety of things today. Branden is way more than this amazing author. He has such experience and has helped people really see their true, authentic self. So welcome, Branden.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I guess I'm an LGBTQ filmmaker, and I think I got into filmmaking because I had something to say, and I felt like it was a medium for me to be able to communicate what I was feeling inside myself. And this particular novel came from a screenplay that I wrote way back in 1996 that was doing well. It did well in New York City. We did readings of it to try to hone in on the story, and it was doing very well. And eventually, it went into a screenwriting competition, finalized Massachusetts Film Office screenwriting competition, one of the top finalists.
Nice.
And then it was immediately optioned right away. So, which was great for us. We thought it was going to be made into a feature film, but that actually didn't happen. So a decade or so later, they graciously gave it back to me, and it just kind of has sat for years. And then last year, 2024, I got the impulse to turn it into a novel, and
Nice.
And so I did, and that's where we are.
Very good. Well, I'm very excited because there's such a rich emotional architecture in the story, and everything, the trauma, the quiet bravery, and really the story of becoming real. Was there a specific moment that you knew you had to write this book?
I mean, it's I don't know if there was a one moment. It was an ongoing process. The fundamental deeper truth to me is that I feel like I've always been in some kind of pain, and like through my whole childhood and everything, and even in the midst of all of that, it wasn't that I felt like I was responsible for it, but I somehow knew from a young age that it was somehow serving me somehow. And
Right.
So really all my storytelling, I mean, really I wrote this as a short story originally to give to my mother to try to help her to understand, who I am as a gay man. She was somebody that I felt couldn't really see me, and I felt, well, maybe she'll see me more if I
If you
do it through
understand.
allegory. So
Wow.
everything has been about me wanting people to see a reality that I experience as a reality that nobody seems to see when I try to tell them. But for some reason, people understand it deeper when it's told through allegory.
Absolutely. What you know, reading through your story and then getting to know you, I have quite a few people that have really struggled to come out and be their authentic self as well. So I've seen it in friendships. I've seen it in, small towns, in religion, in things that they've had to go through and navigate. I won't even say get through, because sometimes it's just turn the other way, right? And what I love with what you've done with this book is you really tell the story through three different men, Brent, Daniel, and Keith, and each one of them has their own path towards wholeness. So, what was important to you to explore the journey of consciousness from multi directions, outside, inside, and both?
It's really interesting because I I wasn't actually setting out to do this. The way I
Okay.
write is that I write what I'm passionate about, and I write, basically what comes to me. And what happened with entitlement, I mean, I knew from the very beginning that I had had this experience with. Let me back up a beat. I started studying consciousness because of this existential pain. So
Okay.
at 26 years old, I had achieved a great deal in the material world. So I was financially very successful, good career. I was in a relationship that, although it wasn't working, it was better than most. And yet I was in this deep pain. So somehow I had to navigate that pain. And so I started studying consciousness. In the midst of me studying consciousness, I was exposed to, the Jesus prayer, which is something that elicits consciousness. And because I had been studying consciousness and knew the effects of consciousness, then shortly thereafter, I read Franny and Zoe, which is Salinger's second book after Catcher in the Rye. And she immediately starts speaking of consciousness in The Catcher in the Rye
Right.
and goes into what happens when you start to wake up, which is you enter like a dark night soul period. So that really fundamentally, that whole thing of Salinger writing about consciousness and nobody really getting it, that really is the biggest thing that had me really write this story of entitlement and to try to show people that we are all coming to consciousness all the time, sometimes slowly, sometimes
Right.
quickly,
Mhm.
and that really is all it is. That's my fundamental belief that goes back to everything in the story, is we are all coming to consciousness, and consciousness to me is the place deep inside of us that I would call love. And I refer to in this novel and outside as home, this deep
Right.
sense of home. So, and then the truth is for me, I've had this journey and it's been an inside out journey because I've deeply been aware that something that I'm not seeing or want to see is the underlying theme of my life, and that is Daniel's journey. But then as a gay man, because we are not, even to this day, I think, allowed to fall in love the way is a healthy way because it's taboo and because yeah, and even
Right.
though it's more accepted than ever before, even now it's kind of reversing in a way. It's
Mhm.
like trying to, you know, trying to show that the way to come to a healthy sexuality, we don't get to necessarily have that in our culture because of, the taboo of sexuality in America, really. I mean, I
Mhm.
say the elephant in the room in America is all this taboo around sexuality and
Right.
spirituality, and well, not spirituality, but understanding the deep nature of what this part of our being is meant to be. I don't think we know it.
Absolutely. And I've seen that, like I said, I've seen a couple of my friends go through that and really, just screaming to just want to be themselves and live how they truly feel that they should be living. And there are so many obstacles. And um, I love how you take it way further than um, just being sex. It's really about that deep love and, connection. Um,
The,
what
the thing
were you? Okay, go ahead.
the thing about all of it really for me is that media doesn't portray like most gay film. Everything that gets financed and shown has to do with our dysfunction. So
Mm.
it seems that homosexuals are portrayed as excess drugs, excess alcohol, excess sex, excess
Right.
food. dark things, hookups. The thing like when 13 or so minutes, my short film was in a film festival, opening night short. And so opening nights at film festivals are sold out with mixed crowds, even though it's an LGBTQ festival, it had a mixed crowd.
Yeah.
And a 16-year-old boy stood up at the Q&A. Both actors were there. We were all there. And he said, I don't have a question, I have a comment. I'm 16 years old. I just came out. This is the first movie I've seen in my whole life that has me feeling good about being gay.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's what I want
That's huge.
people to walk away from with Entitlement is I am a man that loves other men. I like to say that I prefer it as a man who loves other men versus a homosexual because just
Mhm.
the word is about sex, and really
Okay.
full encompassing thing to being a man that loves other men. And
Mm.
I feel like, I want to be the filmmaker and the writer and the author that shows how it can be to take responsibility and to have the courage to step into who you really are. I mean, I think the thing about entitlement is I don't make anybody right or wrong. Like
Right.
Daniel, the anatomy story, it really all does fit and it really all is love. And somehow I want to weave that through everything I do, really, that simple message.
Yeah, I love that. So the book is rich with metaphor, the force, the wizard, the river, the craw. I love it when you talk about you've got things stuck in your craw. These aren't just clever devices. They feel spiritual. What do they mean to you, and how does this reveal a deeper emotional and psychological journey for your characters and for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, really, this book is everything stuck in my craw. So literally every single thing that's stuck in my craw is in this book. And I feel like when people want to know me, I'm like, just read Entitlement and then we'll have a conversation. Uh, no, it's like the disjunction or what I don't know what the word is, but what to me is going on right now, and what was going on for me is for whatever reason, in my upbringing, I had to perform to get love from the dominant parent. So who was just really at odds with who I really deeply am. So who I deeply am got buried for whatever reason. And then over time, I realized that the true me kept calling out to me from deep within. And that I found that when I allowed myself to do what I loved, I mean, to just do the things I loved, no matter what anybody else felt, what happened was I had the most to give to other people. I was happiest deep inside myself.
Nice.
So that theme is what this entire thing is about because everything is if we're performing more than we're being true to who we are, we have this discourse that grows inside of us, and the only peace that actually comes is from going to this place and having the courage to be true from that deep place. And for a lot of us that has to occur inside of ourselves, just in our imagination. But
Right.
then, because of my understanding of consciousness and manifestation and everything, am I learning that what you focus on, um, you know, eventually manifests,
Mhm.
period, which is, everything having to do with the duality and the images that are put in front of us, which to me is the wizard. So the wizard is like the Wizard of Oz to me, is pulling the curtain over reality. That's what we learn
Yeah.
is that, and then the whole thing about Dorothy clicking her heels. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. So the whole thing about, what that is, I think, a goal for all of us as human beings is we want to feel that we're home, and
Mhm.
home not in a false sense of you're performing so we're going to love you, but in a true sense that somebody sees you for who you are. And like
Right.
the thing about Keith is his whole life is nobody sees him for who he is, and he's performing, and the more he performs, the more important his life becomes until someone, which is Daniel, truly sees him. And really they start to see each other. That's what's
Right.
incredible about this story to me, is that, it's two people bringing each other to their authenticity and falling in love with each other because of that, because you're with someone who makes you feel like you're home. The whole
Right.
thing really is this concept of home, because Andrew, it's not in the novel, but in the backstory, Andrew knew what home was. And then he lost it because his mother passed away when he was very young. And then he never really found it again. He never had it again. He wasn't necessarily even looking for it. It's just that Daniel represented somebody that felt to him like a deeply loving human being, which Daniel really is. Daniel
Mhm.
really is a deeply loving human being. And because of that, Andrew felt like, oh, I'm home. I'm with my mother again. And so it wasn't so much a sexual attraction that Andrew had. It was a deeper, this person authentically sees me for who I am. And to me, that is, the theme of this whole story, because, Daniel has a loss. We don't know what that loss is, and I don't want to, tell people, but,
Right.
but his journey is discovering, oh, maybe this loss occurred to me because of my lack of authenticity, et cetera. I
Mhm.
mean, it's just like it's not that I'm trying to preach to people or teach to people, but I just feel like that life is rich, and that we aren't always aware that things are happening for us. When I
Right.
say beginning, to the class, and I ask the audience, is life happening to you, or is life happening for you?
For you.
You know,
Mhm.
the
And you
performance.
have control of that.
Yes.
Yeah. So speaking with Daniel, how does Daniel's experience reflect on your thoughts on how to wake up to love, or to meaning, to self?
Well, just that whole thing about self-responsibility. He you know, yeah, I mean, he had a tragedy. I mean, there's the elephant in the room,
Mhm.
with Daniel, and people have asked me what that elephant is, and really for me, it's grief. He's not
Yeah.
fully felt its grief.
Mhm.
That said, his journey is really about, um, you know, trying to find, this whole concept of true, authentic expression of who he really is. And I don't know if that answers your question, but it's
Yeah.
kind
Well,
of
each
that.
character has such you know, a, a different journey. So, um, Brent may be the most quietly devastating character in the book. His path through shame, desire, and repair. Um, there's going to be a lot of people that really feel and relate to him. So,
The thing
what?
about Brent is, Brent is, to me, had this huge, the thing about Brent is he has had this enormous tragedy himself, because when the novel opens, he's standing and walking, and when it launches, he's in a wheelchair. So that's again what happened. And it's like the thing about Brent is he is the solid rock for
Mm,
Daniel. I mean, he's a gay man that's a solid rock. He's comfortable with his sexuality. He's comfortable with everything that's happened, including the fact he's not a victim, and I don't necessarily think that he feels shame as much as he just feels like he is on a path, and
right,
it's just that he's trying to discover, because Brent, unlike Daniel didn't know he was homosexual until his encounter with Andrew. Brent was triggered into his sexuality by an event that happened to him. So, and it was a hormonal flood of hormones that are all about eroticism and sexuality. And really, although they can be there in from love, sexuality can come from love. Brent actually felt that was what love was to him.
right.
Is very a strong sexual experience, which I think a lot of gay men think, or men, whether they're gay or not, because they have these experiences that are strong hormonal influences. And only to come to find out through living his life, because, what happens is all of Brent's sexual functioning when he's crippled becomes, he was a quadriplegic first, then he becomes a paraplegic, and none of that works anymore. So his journey is into finding out what love really is just because of how he journeys through life. It happens with,
Has to. Hmm.
yeah. So that's his outside in. And then, of course, Keith is both, because while he is dealing with his outside life, his performance life, he's actually falling in love. So the thing about entitlement is it can show a man that what might be a healthy path to actually falling in love and coming to what might be sexuality that is maybe more healthful and fulfilling, instead of just an intoxicating, energetic, hormonal experience.
Right. So, what did writing Keith teach you about the cost of authenticity when your entire life has been a performance?
Really, I mean, it was more about already having realized in my whole life, and then wanting to display it, just really wanting to show to the world, and myself included, that this whole concept of authenticity and being true to the deepest, darkest, which you think, I mean, there have been times in my life when people have told me things about their lives that they feel are deep, dark secrets or something,
Right.
that they hold as if they're wrong and bad and something's off. And the
Mhm.
one who was a lover of mine for 11 years, it was incredible that when we had these conversations where he would reveal these deepest things he didn't want to tell anybody, and I would be like, well, John, these are normal. There's nothing, this is
Right.
not a thing, this is a human thing. And he would feel so relieved in the process that we would have this incredibly deeply bonding experience that, it merged us together way beyond anything sexual. And so then,
Mhm.
of course, as we reveal to each other and we're really honest with each other and we're, rigorous in our authenticity with each other, what happened is the erotic experience got better. I think the journey for a lot of gay men is they're really turned on. They have a lot of, there's a lot of gay couples that have all kinds of still having experience with other men, open relationships. And I think there's a deep misunderstanding around what sexuality is and what it can be. And I think the thing about entitlement is it's just putting in front of people who are so inclined an experience of how to come to it through deep intimacy and deep authenticity, and that when we are really feeling authentic is really when we have the most to offer the world. I feel like when this novel ends, I hope people feel like every character in it is more whole than they were at the beginning, and more able to be true to who they are as human beings, no matter who they choose to love.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the beautiful part about having these characters that are so different. People are going to read and they're going to identify to one of them or to multiple pieces of them, and then be able to really look at their lives. And even though it's a fictional story, it's such a needed topic to talk about, and to give the message that it is okay to follow your heart and be truly who you're supposed to be. And that's what I love. So, your book explores truth, consciousness, love, and the courage it takes to become who you really are. What you are, when you think about your journey and your legacy, what do you hope that you can leave behind?
Well, again, it's this whole, I call it Occam's razor. that of consciousness, and that is that um, it's all really just love, and it starts with ourselves actually allowing ourselves to pursue and experience what we really do love. And I say when in the court experience, when Daniel talks about killing a human being is not just stabbing them and killing them in the flesh, that when you stop someone from pursuing something that deep inside their heart and their soul, they feel they're meant to experience, you can kill their spirit. And that, it's much
And
worse.
can be exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
so
I think
much worse.
I do believe in reincarnation. Maybe a lot of people don't, but I think when you kill someone's spirit, you can kill them for many lifetimes. I think it take lifetimes to recover from that, and that's been something that's always been, because of my own recovery, not recovery, but develop
Journey.
learning from my growing up, that somehow for some reason at puberty what I did was I started doing what I loved no matter what anybody said. So
Yeah.
I didn't do work I didn't love, I didn't, and then that's when my life just started to work,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Well, that tells a lot about you because, we all want to be accepted, and not especially, our parents. We look for that acceptance. And so for you to realize that your mom didn't see you as who you were, and you were open to sharing that, and then being your authentic self anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a battle my whole life, really. And
Hmm.
even right now with this novel, because,
Hmm.
I just want to smash my ideas in everybody's face because I think they're right. But that said, like for me, I don't want to get too esoteric, but, to me, it really is all a mirror, all of it. So when I say who's the wizard, yes, it's the media, all the
Sure.
media. But then what people don't really understand, that I think is the fundamental thing that needs to change, not needs to change, but could change.
Hmm.
Everything truly is reflecting us back to us. And all of
Right.
life is a mirror. And when we start to take full responsibility for that, and then start to change ourselves deep inside of ourselves, then what happens, and by that I mean moving in the direction of becoming true to who we are, which kind of is talked about through Brent's journey with the therapist, is what's the
Right.
witnessing of yourself? How does that self feel? And then changing oneself from within to become more whole. And what seems to be missing in consciousness studies to me is that everybody is focusing on emptiness, 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 and the balance of the duality. But what seems to be missing is this core little piece of there is a spark inside of us that is really loving and that
Yeah.
is really home for us. And the crazy thing is the more we focus on that deep within us, it then starts to appear outside of us. So it's like, Andrew appeared in Daniel's life because of what he felt and believed deep inside about what was loving. And he focused on it. And then suddenly there was Andrew. And he has to now discover what happened to him, which was what happened to him is, his ego was fed by notoriety and being so popular and having all these people, lord him because of his
Right.
performance. And so
Hmm.
what happened is he abdicated what was the most important to him, which was this deep love, so that he could be popular. And
Right.
it's really interesting because in the journey of life right now, what happens is that I hear that there are all these influencers that are performing that
Yeah.
increasingly are very depressed because they're
Yes, I was just going to say it's an empty
not,
space because it's
yeah,
not true love.
not
Right.
what's are. And the
Yeah.
world in love with a false person. And
Hmm.
and it's like it's like, the whole thing with hormones right now, with dopamine in particular, because dopamine is such a powerful feel-good hormone, that we feel so bad when it's not there, that all of us, myself included, I should say that. I mean, this novel got written from me getting, you know, aware of my core addiction to dopamine. And what
Mhm.
happened was, instead of feeding all my distraction, I decided to, I say, fortify my soul, or my deep
Right.
authentic self. And that's what wrote this novel, is all the stuff that's so important to me, that I want to express. And to be honest, yes, I want everybody to read it, and I want everybody to have these conversations. I want to have these conversations. What's stuck in your craw? What do you
Mhm.
deeply really care about? Who is the deeply loving side of you? All of that,
Yep.
those are the conversations I'd like to have. Having written the book, it feels to me that, I can relax about all that. I don't have to
Yeah.
smash it in people's faces. I don't have to try to tell every,
Right.
I don't,
I think sticking with the
or,
conversations is
yeah.
probably the better way. But I love that you're so open to, speaking with others, and I think once people read the book and really see that it can be a safe place, and I know I'm not going to do any spoiler alerts, but I know people can come to you and talk with you and move forward on their own journey.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
So,
I want to start a conversation, because,
mhm,
just like Charlie is smokes, he drinks, he has as much sex with as many women as he can. It's like,
mhm,
but there's nothing wrong with it. He's
mhm,
happy. He doesn't have to do any spiritual journey. It's like, wherever you are in the journey, what this book is for is there something about this concept of home calling to you? Is there something, are you, I feel like, when Dan says in the beginning, we're all looking for home. I don't know that we all are, but I think, a great deal of us want to have that sense that we are really who we are,
right.
and that it's
I
love.
think many people are stuck on what I call the hamster wheel of life. We are
Yeah.
just performing, we're just going through what we think, and we act how people think we should, or we want to make people happy, right? So we're just doing.
Yeah. It's a crazy thing that by being true to who you are and
Mhm.
doing what you love and telling the truth, and, I mean, those are my values. So, but that is when I am the most received, I guess is the word.
Yeah.
And, I am a caregiver, so, I love to give to people, but I realized over time, it's because I feel so much pain. I mean, I do massage, and to do massage, you have to be in your body, and for me, I have to feel the person. It's all about being present. I guess that's what I want to say. Being very
Right.
present to who you really are, and trusting it, and turning everything into how is this teaching me how to be more who I truly am? And,
Mhm.
it's like, that's all I want to do, is help anybody who thinks they want the help to be true to who they are. When I'm giving massage, it's about a physical experience. But in this arena, and in my, becoming authentically myself curriculum, it's about how can we help you feel really whole and really true to who you are. And that's all I want to talk about. I mean, I've had people say, well, I want to talk about the movies, and I want to talk about, politics, and I want to talk about these things. And why can't you be a friend to me? And
Mhm.
can't you be more empathetic? And it's like, well, I don't think my supporting your performing self is going to help you or me or anyone else. So no, I'd rather be alone.
Right.
And,
Yep.
and I feel like this novel can heal people who are looking for true love,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, and I know the type of people that, follow your work and your courses and stuff. They are people that want to be, or find that journey of who they are, but then I think it is a part of being accepted in a society where
Well, this
it's
is what
hard.
happens. This is what happens is what really happens is, like for me in my life, what I did was chase down people. It's like wants. I wanted things, so I chased after things. And it seemed like, I mean, I was successful at some level, but never really, because what I was achieving wasn't making me happy.
Right.
And what happens for me that makes my life work is, instead of wanting anything or trying to get someone to see or hear me, I went deep inside and told my deepest story, was the most vulnerable. I mean, this is all, it's probably there'll be people that are going to critique it. Not
Sure.
everybody's going to get it,
Always.
et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But, really, it is who I am. And what's going to happen and has been happening is people who do want to see me are suddenly materializing in my life.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, I've spent my entire life chasing and trying to be friends with a bunch of people who are never going to see me, when there's this whole other world of people out there that I didn't even know were
That
there,
need to see you.
but I wasn't able to
Yeah.
find them because I wasn't being who I am. So how
Mhm.
could they even find me? So it's like,
Yeah.
maybe there'll only be five people, or, the fortunate thing for me is, so far, the people who are reading this book, it's landing. And
Yeah.
no matter whether they're fiercely heterosexual and are only reading it just because they're a friend and they wanted to support me.
Yep.
But they are liking it, coming back to me and saying, I keep thinking, I can't stop thinking about these characters. And it opens a dialogue for me to say, what do you really love? What
Mhm.
do you love? I know you hate this job we're in together, but what
Right.
do you love about the job? All that stuff. I just want to tell as many people. It's so simple and seems so, basic, but
Complicated at the same time.
we so
Yeah.
want to be accepted by something outside of ourselves,
Yeah.
and we're conditioned in America to perform. Every reward is based on performance, except for the people who are being rewarded, like nowadays, like Taylor Swift, I say, and Carlos Alcaraz, a tennis player. He loves it. He's been playing tennis since the journey, 6 years old, tennis, puberty, tennis. Number one player at 21 years old. Taylor Swift, I could write poetry, 5, 6 years old. 12 years old, picked up a guitar, 4 chords. Oh, I think I can add poetry. Everything was about feeling love. Now, they
Yep.
had your journeys because they had complete parental support. But the,
Mhm.
the truth of it is just,
And look at Taylor Swift. I mean, she literally put herself out to the world to be judged,
yeah,
but she was truly herself, being
yeah.
herself.
But also, there's a story of Taylor Swift in high school. In high school, she called her friends. She wanted to go to the mall, and she called a friend, and they said no. She called like 4 or 5 friends, and they all, made an excuse why they couldn't go to the mall. So she went to the mall by herself, and she got to the mall, and all those friends were together at the mall.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I also had that experience in childhood. And, for me, what happened is I went to work and I just found what I loved, immersed myself in it. And then my life unfolded. But today, Taylor Swift is generous and she's kind and she's
Hmm.
thoughtful and and she will forever remember that experience of being rejected that way, in a way.
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
something she would never want to do to anybody else.
Yep.
So it's like these wounding things, they went into all of her songs. She like
Oh,
she
yeah.
wrote them into her songs. And I guess that's what
Mhm.
Entitlement is for me. It's like it took all my wounding and I told a story where it wasn't wounding so much that I was a victim of something, but it's like, life can go the way we want it to, but I really do all I keep going back to, but only if we can allow ourselves to be who we really are, which I think is scary. And I think it's
Yeah.
courageous. I mean, I don't want to talk about the end of the book because,
Yeah.
but just the fact of, it's like, you know, yeah, it's like have the courage. Brent
Yep.
to me is the best character because Brent, he's a solid rock for Daniel. And it's like somehow he silently has gone through it while we watch them all discover what love is for him. I mean, Daniel and Brett are best friends, obviously, and they really help each other. It's like I think this novel is a sign of true friendship. And what's not spoken about is, what I feel about, the whole heterosexual community that's in Dexter, who is heterosexual, and even Charlie, who's heterosexual. It's really about, this thing of, anyway, there's so much in the backstory. We want to
Don't
put it,
give too much away.
yeah, we want to put it in a streaming series, and eventually all these things will be told. And again,
Yes.
it's all like nothing's really right or wrong. The damage I think that a lot of religions and spirituality, even conscious people do,
Sure.
is by taking away this concept that we have choice, and are you choosing what's right for you first,
Yeah.
and allowing yourself to be who you really are, so you can bring towards you somebody who can see you as you might be able to see them.
Absolutely. So everyone get the copy of Entitlement and then reach out to Branden and share your experience, share what you got, the messages that you get through reading it, whether you're going through that yourself or you see it through someone else. Reach out, follow Branden. Where is the best place for people to get hold of you? We've got brandenblinn.com. Where else?
There's also Facebook. I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter, and I mean X, and TikTok. We've
You're
just started.
everywhere.
So
We will
I
put
just
all
started.
those links
Yeah.
in below. So follow Branden and definitely reach out and just have that conversation with him. So thank you so much, Branden. We look
Thank you for
forward
having
to
me. Thank you
hearing. We'll
for
have you back.
helping me with this book. It has been
Oh,
really wonderful.
absolutely. We will have you back, and we'll talk about the comments and the feedback that you're getting from people. I can't wait to hear it.
Thank you. And thank you so much, Natalie, for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Your Legacy Story Podcast. If you would like to share your legacy story with Natalie or get your legacy book started, please reach out at giftsoflegacy@gmail.com. Be sure to add My Legacy Stories in the subject line. We would love to help you share your legacy message out to the world. Natalie would like to invite you to join our private Facebook group, Create Your Legacy Life. She shares tips on book publishing, ways to create and leave your legacy, and she interviews the most amazing legacy creators, sharing their moments of purpose, gratitude, wisdom, and tradition, and of course, their legacy stories. See you next week.